Yes, hi. I am calling this number because I saw it on a bathroom wall. Seeing if you're Brandi.
I'm Brandi Lukas, and this is Brandi is Going to Hell. My taste in music is all over the shop, and it's the driving force behind this show. I will be bringing you music updates and chats with artists that you won't hear anywhere else.
The only true currency in this bankrupt world is what you share with someone else when you're uncool.
We came from Brazil with a previous band. We were like, we have to stay here. You know, there's more gigs to be played here than we're going to have our entire lives in Brazil. The whole Brazilian crew from Berkeley were hanging out at the Monroe house at the basement there. It was just like throwing parties Monday through Monday. It was intense and it was amazing. Perfect environment to start the band. We met a booker and she's like, hey, I can book you guys shows. So the band started with the demand of a show. So I said, hey, let's put it together, 45 minutes worth of songs. And then the band started. And we played Irving Plaza. It was the first official show as the Velvicks.
I'm Brandi Lukas, and that was Brooklyn's rock and roll band, the Velvicks. Lead singer and founding member Vick Nader shares the band's Brazilian roots, how the band's song Lockdown New York City and its airplay in Brazil unlocked a wave of new opportunities, and the deeper narratives of the songs. Greetings, Earthlings. Thanks for hitting that play button to support my podcasting dreams. I am so grateful you tuned in so I can take you on this musical journey. If you're new here, I interview artists big and small, and before every interview, I talk about 5 albums by artists big and small that I dig. Welcome to episode 26. I'm stoked to have the lead singer and founding member, Vick Nader, and the founding drummer, Ed Marson, of Brooklyn's rock and roll band, the Velvicks. Before our chat, I got to see them live, and what a special night it was. The band is surrounded by such a tight-knit community of warm and welcoming transplants from Brazil, and deliver their set with the energy of a stadium rock band. Since my chat with the Velvicks, the band released Old Mistakes, spent some time in LA recording, and headed down to South by Southwest 2023 to perform a number of shows surrounding the event. Like most new artists, the elephant in the room 2020, it put a damper on their best laid plans. However, they persevered, and you'll learn about that moment around their topical release Lockdown New York City in our conversation. Check out the Velvicks on socials and give them a follow while I dive into new records that I dig. You can listen along to all the music I reference on my show via 2 5-star playlists that I created just for you. Brandi is Going to Hell, New Music I Dig, and Brandi is Going to Hell, My Dope Guests. You can find these playlists on Spotify by searching Brandi Lukas Airy or on my website, brandyisgoingtohell.com. And if that's a little too much for you to handle, go to my Instagram bio at Brandi Lukas, Brandi with an I, Lukas with a K, and it's all in my link tree in black and white. First up, Nashville and New York City-based indie rocker Annie DiRusso released her debut EP, God, I Hate This Place, this past February, and this 5-song collection will give you the chills. It gave me the chills, as it touches on the tragedies of living and love with an underlying message. Get out of your head! American pop punk band Meet Me at the Altar released their debut album, Past, Present, Future, on March 10th. In all of its 11-song glory, the Women of Color trio defines the 2000s era pop punk nostalgia. A, it's coming from a group of women. B, they're writing about what a lot of young girls and 32-year-old women like me can't put into words. I'm obsessed. Atlanta's post-punk and dystopian soul band Algiers dropped their 4th studio album, Shook, this past February. I was first introduced to this band by Matthew Riccini, or Ricchini, like zucchini. I never really had to say his last name before, so I feel stupid saying it. He mixed this record, and I know him as Baroness's front of house engineer. Per the New York Times, Algiers lashes out at injustice, exults in its sonic mastery, and insists on the life forces of solidarity and physical impact. This 17-song album is a journey you will want to take. Essex trio Bilk, I think that's such a funny word, dropped their debut and self-titled album this past February. Drawing inspiration from 90s music, the band has created raw indie rock bops reminiscent of some of their heroes, Nirvana, Arctic Monkeys, and Oasis, to name a few, and aren't ashamed of it. Regardless of wanting to be their heroes, the band's no fucks given mentality fills the void of the anti-establishment punk rocker in all of us. For what it's worth, one of the band members' dad was a cab driver in London, and getting bilked is when somebody leaves and doesn't pay the fare, so there you have it behind the name. The Luka State from Cheshire, England released their sophomore album More Than This past March 10th. When they came across my radar, how could I not do a double take? Their name resembles my last name, or as they would say, surname. Per the band, this album was written while they were feeling claustrophobic. They were writing 24/7, and writing was the band's only escapism. With that said, it's an angsty and cathartic headbang. And now, get ready to hop on the ride from Brazil to Brooklyn with rock and rollers the Velvicks on Brandi is Going to Hell. Here we go. Hi.
Hi, Brandi.
Thanks so much for hanging with me today. Since there are two of you, can you please introduce yourselves for everybody in podcast land, your name and your role in the Velvicks?
All right. I'm Victor, and I sing and write, and yeah, I get to yell at people's faces for a few bucks for the Velvicks.
And I'm Ed Marson. I'm the drummer, and I get to yell at Victor for a few bucks.
Lovely. So first off, I'm so stoked that I got to see you perform in the flesh before we sat down today.
I was so happy that you did it.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me. It was a fucking great show. I loved it.
Thank you.
And, you know, based off of your really short history as a band, the live aspect plays such an important role in your existence. So you two and your guitar player, Vinny Da Silva, I said that right?
Yep,
are all from
it.
Brazil, and however, the Velvicks are rooted in Brooklyn. So before we jump into what's out now and what's to come, take us back to 2017 at the Monroe Mansion. I know what it is because I looked it up, but please share with everybody listening what it is and how the Velvicks was born.
We came from Brazil with Ed and I in a previous band that was called Opticala Felt then, and for a tour, and we were like, we have to stay here. You know, there's more gigs to be played here than like we're gonna have our entire lives in Brazil. So the other part of the band, my brother and the drummer then, we have family, but you guys should stay because, you know, it's dreams and blah, blah, blah. So we stayed, and Optical Felt dissolved, and that was 2013, 2014. I was like mourning for a few years before I started playing guitar again. When I started playing guitar again, everybody was settling back here. Ed was in a big house we call it big house because everybody has a basement in the backyard, and Brooklyn is a big house, you know, especially for foreigners like us. So he started throwing parties there. I started playing some acoustic shows at Beats Candy Store.
Beats Candy Store.
Yeah, and that was pretty cool. What?
It was not like a big house. The house was like pretty beat up. It was just a good deal because the guy was like, all right, you guys can take this house for like $3,000, and it was like 4 rooms and 16 people live in the house. So it was pretty massive for a house in Brooklyn, but we had nice neighbors. That was good.
Yeah, you're talking about the Monroe. Yeah, well, like before we go to Monroe, so we did the Pete's Candy Store for like
Oh,
a residency, and then we all, as we were hanging out there and hanging at Ed's house at the basement, the whole crew from Brazilian crew from Berkeley were hanging out there. It was just like that period of time that we were throwing parties Monday through Monday, you know, like arriving there 5 p.m. and it was intense and it was amazing and it was the perfect environment to start the band. And you know, we met a bunch of people and we met a booker and she's like, hey, I can book you guys shows without we even being like a band. So we we said, hey, we got an episode. So the band started with the demand of a show. So we said, hey, let's put a together, you know, 45 minutes worth of songs and we did and then the band started and we played Irving Plaza. It was like the first official show as the Velvicks.
Yeah, that's pretty freaking nuts.
Hmm.
So how long was that process of playing at the Monroe House before you were booked that gig?
Monroe started like 17, right?
yeah, I moved there with a friend in late 2016, and it was that thing that we found that deal. The house was incredible. It was like this is too cheap for to be, you know. And then just two of us, we rented that house. We couldn't even pay for the rent, so we started like putting it on Facebook if people want to live there and stuff. So yeah, so I mean, slowly starting rehearsing at the basement was pretty much the seed for the band, and we had this really beat up basement. It was pretty hilarious, and but the cool thing was that most of the songs were written there. So like we had a couple of songs before we started at the Monroe, but we had time to sit down and jam, and just
Yeah, that was
play whatever we
perfect.
want to play. Um,
And like a six
and
pack of beer each, you know, and then we stopped to eat. Like it was just like that place that we had
it's
the
a
time
perfect
to do it.
environment for
Yeah.
a bunch of kids jam and write songs, and thank God we
Yeah.
had nice neighbors, because like Jesus Christ, it was like 2 a.m. We had no restraints. Like
Yeah.
back, if we look back, now we were. I would hate to be my neighbor. Like, and like Monday night, 2 a.m. These guys are rehearsing, like playing the same song 5 times. Not fun.
Yeah.
But those, God bless those neighbors.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like a
At the
perfect
Monroe Street.
time, perfect place scenario that you got to jam and make music on the fly and then, build this community of people who just kept coming to see you in that basement and whatnot. And
Yeah.
then lo and behold, you have a huge gig at Irving Plaza. So that's great.
Yeah. It
And
was
then a little
amazing.
bit off on a tangent. You three also played music together in Brazil before you even came to America. Is that correct?
We
Two of
did.
us.
Ed and I did. Yeah. Vinny actually we knew him and all, but we didn't get to play with him. Like,
Oh,
there's a
okay.
story he tells that he was denied by the band to be part of the band, but it's not necessarily true.
Yeah, he told
But
me
it's a
that you
funny
guys
story. He
fired
likes to
him.
tell. Yeah. He likes to tell that story and like flower it a little more than it is. But yeah, long story short, he's the music director of the band.
Nice. So the
He's
band's
in Brazil right now. He actually said hi.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's a bummer we can't have him, but it's all good. You guys can
I
fill in
know.
for him.
Yeah.
um So the band starts in 2017. You perform live for 3 years. You perform live for 3 years, and you share your first recording with the world in March 2020. And then, your debut EP Run is in July 2020. This is kind of a curse and a blessing, under the same breath in a way. Talk a little bit
I
about that
agree.
moment in time.
So we were working for 3 years straight, and we were building a solid team. We declined 4 record label deals because I was, like, because none really made sense. And also the person who was guiding us, the management then, he's like, hey, I don't think it's worth it. Keep your masters. We can do this by ourselves. So we built and we connected with good PR, good management. The booking agent had booked us 20 plus shows and 2 festivals, and for that summer of 2020. So we were like, all right, this is starting, this is finally getting out there. And we released March 5th, I think. And then we had a gig on March 8th at Arnold's Fest in Columbus. That, that thing about people were like, and it's like, it was going to be a gig for a bunch of people. And the day I was loading the drum, the night before I was loading the drums, she called, say, hey, apparently there's a virus going on or something crazy, and they're just shutting down the venues. And I'm like, yeah, right. Shut up. This we're in the van. Tomorrow I'm picking them up, and so we drove, and with that, like thought in our heads, the fuck is going on? So we get there, it's just another local band. The venue opened, they fed us, there was no one there, and they're like, hey, they're shutting down the festival, and everything else started falling. And then next thing you know, we were like shut down, and then made us lock down New York City, and it got picked up in a major radio in Brazil. And so it was kind of a good thing that happened. But there's silver lines and everything.
Yeah.
And the most incredible thing is that you can see that the singer was loading the drums. Would have thought, right?
Yeah, who would have thought?
Incredible.
Yeah, well, it sounds like lockdown New York City, was something great that came from that wrench in your plans, especially since you had that success. You said it was in Brazil?
The radio, the radio station that got us, that really, it blew up over there and got us our Instagram to get verified, and got almost 10,000 followers because of that.
Oh, that is so cool. It's so funny how those things work out. And it's really also super interesting that festival, you said it was in Columbus, Ohio?
Yeah,
is canceled because in New York, I think I went to a show March 13th. So that year. So it's so crazy that Columbus was more on the cusp than that major market of New York City to start canceling.
Yeah, but
it's
2020 was going to be the year, because we were actually playing at this huge festival in Brazil in July. I think it was July 13th, right, Victor?
Yeah, it's true.
It's the
I don't even like to talk about it.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I didn't really bring it up to, bring up those bad memories. I just wanted to talk about the juxtaposition of you getting up for a major release and setting up this whole rollout and campaign and touring. And then even though that was a bummer town, you had this song that, it was on your EP, and you released it. So that is just such a very forward thinking on your toes thing to do, and that's very commendable and fucking awesome. So good on you guys. That's great.
Thank you. Yeah.
So even though as I said, 22 bummer, but in the sense promoting, you persevered, and I love that shit. So before we
managed to record Lockdown apart, and it was the first song that we just sent files to each other, and it was awesome. We didn't know that we were super scared about it, but not having someone in each other's ears, it just gave us kind of the freedom that for everybody to do their own lines. And when we heard, we're like, this is amazing,
Oh wow, yeah. It
really worked out. So after that we unlocked this possibility of recording apart, which is now, it makes it super easy. And I think we've been together for enough time that we know kind of hey, this is kind of up everybody's alley,
Wow. So that's a cool learning process then for you guys as well.
It was.
So before we dive into your music, in an interview with Sunsets, you mentioned that you had a spike of fans in Iowa, which I think is pretty cool and random. I'm kind of like a numbers geek. So because of that, you were able to play a cultural event there. Is that correct?
Was the I voted festival.
So what came first, the spike or the invite to play?
The spike.
Okay.
The spike.
How were you able to trace that?
Oh, it's stats, it's the Spotify statistics.
Were you able to trace how that song became, who played it or what made that happen?
It was actually they brought to our attention, because we look. I mean, I'm not super numbers, so I look and I say, okay, good numbers, whatever. And then they got in touch with us saying, hey, we noticed that a bunch of people in Iowa listened to you guys, and we want you guys to influence them to go out and vote. And this is not about red or blue. This is just about going out to vote. And if you guys want to be part of it, and it was a festival that was like a bunch of people, but like, Billie Eilish and like a bunch of guys. And we're like, yeah. As a matter of fact, they called us to play this year again. So I don't know if it's Iowa, or if it's Iowa again, I'm going to run for like a mayor of the town.
Yeah, I think that's such a cool thing, like Brooklyn band from Brazil.
I know.
Iowa. That's like such a cool. It's so cool. I love how that's the beauty of the internet, because that's how you were discovered there.
Yeah.
So what I love about each of your songs is that they all have an underlying message or theme, and I would like to talk about a handful of them. Let's start with Jones.
Oh.
So first off, it's one hell of a starter for a live show. It like kicks you in the face when you all get on stage, and I love that.
Yeah,
and
cool.
On your website, it says that this is your own Shine On You Crazy Diamond. So can you please explain that?
Yeah, it's Jones was it's kind of the story of that someone that you like, that you lose throughout the process of things, but it's someone that you like admire and you like, and it was fundamental to like to the birth, like the fifth Roland the Jones that died in the pool, like for the Stones. And right before they became something, so it's like then they're always going to carry that like ghost in a way. And so Jones, we've a song we wrote together, and it was with our first bassist, the founder that he founded with us, Apoena. Shout out to him. And so it was everybody's input, and it was like the energy, and it's basically the Shine On, like it's about someone that you lost, someone that you admire, and it's always going to be there somehow. And it brings that energy.
And Jones is actually a point, we call him Mr. Lover Jones, which is a nickname, but he's like, he back then especially, now he's a dad of 2 kids, but back then he was chaos. 3, yes. And he was chaos in a person. So he was the craziest dude in the band. And, like, there was no limit for that guy. You're on the 5th beer in a shot, and the dude's still standing and still, on it. So have you seen Jones? It's because, like, we were asking that constantly. Like, we're about to play a gig, and dude, where is he? He's like 5 minutes to start the show, and then he shows up like 30 seconds before the show with a bass, plugs in, and everything is normal. But to that point, I was like, we're playing without a bass player. Fuck this shit. And then, but he got us that kind of feeling like, oh God, it's like being on tour and the guy's lost in the city.
Yeah,
and,
pretty much. So like alcohol and cigarettes, Jones is in the air, but you don't know where he is.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That's cool.
Yeah, we constantly write about our experiences, and we find characters around us to
we don't try to solve the problems of the world. We're a rock band, I don't think you should look into a rock band.
We can barely solve our band's problems.
Exactly.
To get the bass player on stage in time.
I know. We want to be that.
Or sorry to be that guy, or a bass player, steadily. But
we want to be that band that's basically your friend that you start talking problems. He gives you like a beer and say, hey, let's just dance.
And
that's the best we can do.
You guys are like that. After meeting you guys are just the most lovely people I've met and the most welcoming. So I agree with that sentiment. And I also the reason why I know bands really don't like to talk about like what does this song mean, but like I think your lyrics are kind of ambiguous in a way, but you present like when you roll out these songs the deeper underlying meaning, and I think when you translate that to everybody listening, it kind of connects the dots and makes people interpret it in their own way, but also connect. So let's go on to Run. This is the title track of your EP. Dive into this one. And as you dive into it, talk a little bit about recording this EP. That's a pretty monumental moment, because you take this live band to a recorded band. So dive into that for me.
All right. You want to talk about the recording first, Ed?
Yeah.
Or should we
Yeah,
just
I
go
mean,
with it?
that's a great point that you point out, because till then we were just focused on playing live, and that was a pretty good life. We don't have to rehearse for a recording and being all nervous about it, how we're gonna sound forever after you recorded your EP. And so then when we like, all right, it's time to move on and put these songs out there, right? So then we got in touch with Max. What was the name of his studio again, Victor?
Outer Space in Greenpoint.
Outer Space. Really cool.
Super
space.
talented
Like,
guy. Yeah, he's amazing.
He's amazing. And then it was one of those studios that you go that looks and feels like a home, feels like a house, so you can like lay down.
You want to hang out all
couch.
day. Yeah.
And it was really cool. And we got to be in the same room, like recording live too. That was really important. Like after all the recordings we did, we found that is actually a better way to do it. It sounds more natural. It sounds better. And all the songs were done like with no click. We were just playing the songs. So that was
it was very organic and live. You feel it. You feel it.
Yeah, that's your bread and butter. That's like how you guys do it. So that's really cool that you were able to do that. Yeah.
It was a milestone for us, because after that things started to take shape, and and after the recordings you get to actually listen to songs as an audience as well. You're not playing them, so you're actually listen, and it gives you the next step. So after those songs you're actually free, like, all right, cool, like we can make new songs now and stuff like that. But it was a magical process when we got to like put these songs into recordings. And then that came out pretty quick. We actually spent Victor, that was like 3 days recording or something like that. I remember it was a weekend.
No, super quick, and then mixing as well. And so it was kind of I think that recording and producing is something that we have it like it's very easy, and it's like even the practicing now that we do less than used to, it's kind of fun. We have fun, it's easy. It's not like we agree quickly. Like Hit Me Like Sugar was written as it was created, so that song is 2 minutes and 20, and then we create that song in 2 minutes and 20 basically, so it's very quick and easy, and
Hit Me Like Sugar was interesting because we were just warming up for a rehearsal, and I remember Jones Apoena came up with a line to do, and then I just follow up with the drums. Vinny start playing, and then it was instantly one of the greatest experience, because like
incredible.
We're not bullshitting when it's like, oh, holy fuck, we were actually perplexed after like, holy shit, we got a song.
Someone record
this song
that?
Sounds cool. Yeah, let's play this on the show. And then I remember we were rehearsing for a show. I don't remember what show was that, but we actually played that song on the show. So it was one of those like quick memorable experiences of being a musician, when things actually work.
Yeah, and that was the first song you ever put out, if I'm not mistaken. It's a sexy song. I like it.
Right. No, it is. It's like a little like Motorhead, like a motorcycle vibe song. It's straightforward,
Straightforward, yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. And then Run, the lyrics for Run, it's been a while that I talk about it. I always get it mixed with the Cha 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 because they are kind of about the same person.
I sensed that. I was gonna. No, but that's cool
Yeah,
because we're going to
interesting.
talk about, I'm going to go and, I want to talk about Ldnyc and Cha Cha. But yeah, let's stick with Run and
Yeah.
then we can kind of
So
segue.
yeah, so Run is about this this wild card that it's like that you can trust, but like sometimes it just is this person is not there. And then at the hardest part of your life, that person is right there and they like, and they like really it took someone like that wild and that reckless to solve something that it was huge because of whatever trauma one have, and that person just doesn't give a shit about it and it's just there. So it marks your life in a positive and scary way that you always have that person like in a good place in your heart, but you're glad you're not personally involved with that person again. It's like but it's good that happened. It was like, so that's basically what it is. It's about that person that you can't rely, but surprisingly was someone that you did, and it overall came out positive.
Yeah, totally.
Even though it was very bumpy.
Yeah. That's cool. I like that. I always whenever I know this is like, I'm married now, so it doesn't matter, but whenever I dated somebody, I always like took, hey, that sucked, but I like this band now because of them. So that was always a positive aspect of it.
Yeah, there's always something positive.
Yeah. So LA was released August 2021. I love the meaning behind this one. You said it pays homage to everyone who gives up on the most life's ordinary experiences, which is known by happiness. That's like something that drives a lot of people, and a lot of people give up on it super quick and fall to the mundanity of things. So what made you choose LA as the city for this particular song?
It was I'll start with a picture that I took of a rooftop there of a bunch of mannequins laying down of this bunch of perfect humans.
That's the
with
art.
the arms and yeah, and they were all like, and I took that picture and they were all there. I'm like, wow, this is basically, they're just waiting to be exposed somewhere, and they mean nothing if they're not dressed or if they're not, and how a bunch of people go leave everything behind to become one of those mannequins, and including ourselves, all the things that we gave up to be able to pursue music and stuff. And that kind of hit me. I'm like, wow. And the lyric is basically the city of LA talking to the newcomers, and like have a little sip of wine and shush, like it is what it is, and this is how if you want to pay to see what this is how this is gonna go. So it's basically that. It's like, it's a what sci-fi? No, it's not sci-fi. It's like when it's not real, but it's a conversation of the city with everybody who's selling their souls to like see what's going to happen.
Yeah, and I really liked that because I don't know, even this podcast in a sense is like something like very important to me and brings me a lot of happiness. And when life and what happens in the forefront kind of sucks up your time, you have this like, why did I give that up for that? Because I was busy. Like, fuck that. So it's always nice to return to it and keep the dream alive. Yeah.
glad you're back.
Yeah,
we talked about doing this for a while.
Yeah. So yeah, sweet we're here, and I'm sure the same thing with your guys' music and everything, and any kind of artist. So that's a really rad song.
Thank you.
And then this brings us to Cha Cha Cha. This came out in this past November, 2021. The imagery from the lyrics is very Breaking Bad-esque, and as you alluded to, it continues this story about this person. I don't know if you can share that, but that sounds a little ambiguous. So
Cha 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 is the story based on that character it's actually like a screenplay. It's like, this is completely fictitious. It's about like a murder case of this, girl that murdered her dealer down in Mexico and stole a bunch of his drug and crossed the border to like start something new in New York. And like, so it's completely Tarantino. Like it's like in my head is a whole, if I had the budgets to do this video, it would be completely a movie. Like it would be like literally driving through the desert and like and bloody nose and like, you know, and like super, it would be amazing, but it's not. we can do anyway. But it's all, this is a screenplay. It's completely like a made up story of, you know, of based on that character of Run, which is, I never talked about it, but yeah, that's the story.
Oh, that's very cool. And what I love about it is it's, you know, the main player, you know, is always creating their own problems, as you said in an interview with Glide magazine. And how you really have to take the reins on your own life to, you know, make changes or fix things and things of that nature. And I think a lot of people can get caught up in playing the victim when they're in control, right?
Yes. Most, the great majority of the time.
Yeah. So
it's a state of mind,
Yeah. And then you know, at your show on April 3rd in Brooklyn, you said that you had a new song coming. Fill us in on that. Is it coming May 18th still?
Yeah, and by the way, if you're free, you would love to have you at Arlene's with us. It's called Old Mistakes. This song has been recorded for a while. We're just waiting for the right moment, and this is it. We're touring the East Coast, and then we do Montauk Music Fest. So we thought, now this is a good time to put that song out. And our last song has been more than 6 months ago, so it's good to keep building for the full album that we plan to put out sometime this year.
Very cool. I love that. So Old Mistakes. I was creeping on the internet, obviously, to because I met you in person and I learned about each of you personally, which is beautiful. And then to get ready for the interview, I was like, let me, you know, unpeel the layers a bit. And I actually saw that song acoustic on the internet somewhere buried. So I'm really excited to...
I think it was So Far.
Yeah, So Far sounds right. And you have another one of those coming up, I think I saw on your itinerary.
Yes, on the 17th.
Okay, 17, cool. Yeah. Very rad. So is it it's not going to be acoustic, is it? Is it going to be electric?
I think it's going to be like electric, but like lighter, because it's not like, it's like everybody's sitting down. So we're going to try to do a little bit like the MTV Unplugged or VH1s, you know, storytelling back that they used to do back then.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah, it's going to be plugged, but like lighter.
Mm-hmm. And now you were just in LA shopping around for a studio and all that jazz. So an album's in the works. Do you have how much is done? Do you have, I think I heard you say in an interview, you've got thousands of songs in the arsenal since you've been writing for so long, but
it sounds funny, but and when it's time to record new stuff, I usually go through those seeds and see what's worth and what makes sense and what not. And then I bring the seed to the guys and we always write songs. So we have a bunch of songs already recorded, but there's always new stuff to record. And the idea of this studio in LA is because we want to put all the songs to the same board so we can remix them and we can remaster them as one same as to sound as close to as it can to like the quality of each other, so we can release it all together. And yes, there will be a recording of 2 new tracks out there. So yeah, that's the plan is to have it all ready. I don't know. We're going to tour there, and this is news. We're going to tour June, July, and possibly August, the West Coast, all the way to Arizona and Colorado. Yeah, and while we're there in the West, we want to record those 2 songs and start putting it all together for the release of the album.
Super exciting. Well, can't wait for more music. You know, it was really, I just I'm so fascinated by how, 2017 live, you just started releasing music recorded and more is to come. So this is exciting stuff and I'm stoked for it.
Yeah. So are we.
Cool. So what's the best way to support you?
Come out to shows for sure. Spread the word to friends. I mean, it's those, get a t-shirt, it's those typical things. There's not much as an individual, which you can do is just basically support and spread the word. If you show your song to 2 friends of yours. Yeah. 2 friends of yours that you show the song.
The songs will guide you. So
you can check out, obviously, at the Velvicks everywhere on the internet, and you guys are so active, which is great and is so important in, building a band and presence. So fuck yeah to you guys. I have a lot of respect for that.
Thank you.
And then
same to you. It's great to be in this podcast. It's a really nice podcast.
It is.
Thank
it
you.
Is. We're super
we're not
stoked.
done yet, but but no, thank you so much. And I remember you saying at, the gig, you all have a lot of other things going on too. And I'll let you all have this moment to shine and even speak for Vinny too, of what other little side projects you have going on. Because I know you're all proud of all these different things that you do. So Ed, I know you're in a couple of bands.
Well, yeah, I mean, we all work, with different artists and stuff. I have my own band called Mock Charge. It's basically a death thrash metal band. Playing here and there, metal bars in Brooklyn with my sister from another mother, Tati. She's a amazing artist, also has a band called Headbind. And yes, these are my side projects
she's about to have another kid, right?
Yeah. She's about to have another kid too.
Rock and roll mama.
She's awesome. She played with us. She played with us for a good time. She toured to the West Coast with us. She's awesome.
If you hang out with us, kids are gonna start popping.
Don't play the bass. Don't play the bass in our band.
Right. Yeah. So yes, Vinny has a project called Vicious Clay, which is a rock band. And
he's recording new stuff. It's coming out. He's recording with Apoena. Like we still sleep together.
I mean, the Velvicks actually created this whole ecosystem of bands also, because we started this band, and then things that, for example, we're not gonna put a death metal song in the Velvicks, but it creates that possibility that Vinny actually helped me with this band as well. Victor actually helped me book shows for this band. So we're always supporting each other for the things that we're doing. So
you have another Demogorgon is a band, right? Demogorgon.
Yeah,
Demogorgon is with you and Vinny.
We had a band during the time of Monroe Mansion. That was called Demogorgon, that was singing and playing guitar. Vinny was playing drums, and a friend of ours, João, was playing bass. And it was just hilarious. We're just running, it was all about death and vampires and stuff like that. But it was something to do, It was back those days, I remember was the only time in my life that I didn't have a day job. Because I was working for this publicity company in Brazil, and I finally wrote this soundtrack for a soap opera there, and it got chosen by a soap opera. So, that time that you have that monthly, income that you don't actually have to go to work. This is why we had parties from Monday to Monday, because
like a landlord.
Thank God people watch soap operas in Brazil. We appreciate you. Thanks for being so generous. But the Velvicks created this amazing ecosystem where, Tati actually played the Velvicks, and it kind of sucks people into the Velvicks, and these people make a side project and release it, and then it comes back to the Velvicks, and then do more stuff, and it's kind of funny how it works,
we like the people that play with us. It's not that it didn't work out. We're like family and friends. We can count on each other still. We're just it's just circumstances of life.
Very cool. Yeah, I love
so
that.
right now we have a bassist out of LA, and also Dennis that plays rhythm guitar, and we JV, and he's the one who's JV's connecting. He's been in the industry over there for a while, and he's connecting us with a bunch of key players, like this producer, this a new management company, then that are kind of setting the future shows for us. This West Coast tour is basically I don't even know where and when, and I love it for the first time. As much as I want to be in control of stuff, the fact that they're like, hey, just make sure that you're available this month and this month, I'm like, sure. Oh my God, yes.
Wow, yeah. I mean, geez, that's what it's all about, right? Hard work paying off, and you just get to focus on the art instead of doing all the nuts and bolts behind the scenes. So that's wonderful.
Part of me is like, yeah, sure. And then part of me is like, but how can I help? What can I do? Come on, send me some work. I can't just sit here,
You can keep carrying the drums. I would love that.
Yeah, hustling for so long, I'm sure it really feels weird to, have other people on the team. But then you get to focus on what you do best, which is the artistic process of it. So hats off to you guys.
And my hair, I take
yeah, you all have fucking really nice hair. I'm like actually pretty jealous of it. It's nice.
A joke we do on stage is like, instead of asking, hey, is the sound okay? It's like, hey, is our hair okay? I mean, we don't care about the sound.
I love that. Very cool. Oh man. So obviously we can look forward to all of your shows, look forward to all your awesome new music. And then, every interview, what I like to do is cap it off with a silly rapid fire question. It's like 3 questions. I'm just going to shoot them off. And if you're ready, I'll start.
All right.
Okay, cool. What's something that you miss dearly in Brazil that America doesn't have?
The outdoor bars, like the outdoor botecos, which is literally the dirtiest thing you can have. It's just like, outdoor.
Amazing Japanese food in Brazil.
Wow.
It's just out of this planet.
Okay, very cool. If you were a ghost and could possess people, what would you make them do?
I'll make them dance cha-cha-cha all the way to the ground.
I'll make them go to work for me.
There you go. And then this is a fun one I just like to throw out there. What was the last photo on your camera roll on your phone?
Oh, let me see.
That's a good question.
That's a good question. Oh my God, no.
Is it something dirty?
How about the third one
All
to
right.
the left? No, it's actually the merch that I don't know if you can see it, right?
Yeah. You didn't have those at the show the other night. I would have bought one. They're so cool. I love your logo.
They're so cool. And they were handmade. Like, myself and a friend did it. We spent like two weekends and just like pressing them all and listening to music. So they're very dear, and they're all very different because every time you print, another ink falls in, so it becomes a different color. There's no two of the same. So I basically don't like to sell them. That's how much I like them.
Yeah. Well, I need to get one then at your next show. I'm a band tea geek, big time. Awesome. And you, Ed.
Oh yeah, my last photo has actually my niece. I was hanging out with her yesterday. It was so cool. Like, she's 1 year and a half now, and she's a cookie. She's such a fun.
So sweet. So you're rock and rollers and family men. I love it.
Yeah, it's hanging out with kids. It's just like
my kid.
Oh my gosh,
it's
so
amazing. Look
cute.
At this. It brings you back, and also you can feed from their energy like a vampire.
I had to put my one on it. Mine's in the cage right now, so I can do this.
Exactly. Yeah.
I put water drops, dripping water in the corner so he drinks.
Wait, are you back in Ohio already? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. All right. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for you guys for doing this. It's
thank you.
Really
immensely.
Awesome. Like, I'm so stoked because found each other on Instagram, and you guys are active and always in my forefront, and glad we could make it happen. And
so glad
we're listeners, and
thank
and
you.
You're always welcome
as well.
You're welcome in the Velvicks family. Anytime, any show, you're always going to be on the list. Just come out and be part.
Sweet.
Well,
thank you so much.
It's fun to hang out with you.
Yeah, you guys are fun too. And there you have it, the Velvicks. Be sure to check out their action-packed rock and roll anecdotes and keep an eye out for when they play next. Thank you so much for listening to my podcast. In my brain, I have this ultimate dream of growing a community of people who love exploring rock music and all music in an unconventional way. If you listen because you're a friend of the Velvicks, hopefully you'll stick around and check out past episodes of Brandi is Going to Hell and discover someone else. I love celebrating awesome artists, their stories, and providing fun interviews with them for you. Until next time, a random thought powered by the Wingman's Path to Positivity. The happiness of my life depends on the quality of my thoughts. So, what are you thinking about? Bye-bye. Thank you, yes you, for listening to Brandi is Going to Hell. I have a lot more thank yous in order for making the show come alive. I want to thank Celeste Giuliano for her amazing pinup photography. I dreamed of having my photographs taken by her in order to make my podcasting dreams come to life. So thank you, Celeste, and your team for making me look like a hot mama. Thanks to Olivia Borcheski for the latest and greatest installment of my podcast logo. I outsourced it to Olivia to turn a couple-year-old photograph into something fresh and fierce. Nailed it. Shout out and many thanks to Ryan Hanratty at Frosted Green Productions for all video production. My man, definitely don't want to be fucking with video, and you've saved my life. My amazing husband, Mike Airy, for always believing in me and bridging the gap between me and amazing artists. More importantly, having somebody that just loves me and my absolute goddamn weirdness. You are a saint and I love you and you're my rock. Saint Neot's hardcore band Impact for the music throughout the show. You can check out their EP Strength Through Loyalty on every streaming service. My friend Gooch, aka Ryan Nelson, for always asking me when's a new show coming out. My friend Matt Young, who got my foot into the door as an intern at IndieGoot, which led me to my first career in music at Q Prime. Huge thank you to Nick Teeter for the rec and following up, and a major shout out goes to Doug Oswandel as well for giving me a chance and hiring me there. My dad, John Lukas, for raising me with an impeccable taste in music, and my mom, Beth Ann Lukas, for helping me be a functional adult with good credit. Jokes aside, I'm so lucky to have had such wonderful and caring parents growing up and mold me into the person I am today. Last but not least, Brandi is Going to Hell is dedicated to my badass grandmom, Elizabeth Betty Fowler.